I'm often asked, what was my inspiration for writing Safe Stardom? It's been a 2-year journey since I started writing the book, actually. And I'll tell you my inspiration. The inspiration came from the work that it took and all that it took to win the case for Craig Traylor, who was a minor, in the case of Sharon Berg versus Craig Traylor, the Malcolm in the Middle case, we like to call it. In that case, Craig Traylor and his mom, Michelle, came to me when the court was just about to enter a judgment for over $575,000 against them. And they were very disturbed and very upset about the award that the arbitrator had rendered. They were very upset and very concerned about what the trial judge was about to do in the case. And they felt very alone and very concerned and worried, of course. So they came to me and they asked if there was anything I could do. So I said, well, let me take a look at this file. Let me take a look at the case. So they sent me a box of materials, and in all honesty, it was kind of disorganized. A lot of things were missing. It was just kind of a shambles. I took a look at it, and in a short period of time, I realized the arbitrator had made a mistake, a very critical mistake, a mistake that would have changed the case. And the trial judge was about to adopt the ruling of the arbitrator. And the craziest thing was that Craig and Michelle weren't even represented by counsel at the time of the arbitration. So it was just a travesty. But nonetheless, I took a look. I noticed something was wrong. But the question was it a little too little and a little too late? So I immediately ran down to the courthouse and filed documentation to try to stop the judge from entering this arbitration award as a judgment against them. And the judge just wouldn't have it. He didn't want to hear about it. The case, in his mind, had been resolved and was complete. And he wanted to move on. And I asked him a second time, and he was more disappointed in me the second time and more or less threw me out of court. I even went back a third time, and I met with no better appearance or attendance by the judge, and I was thrown out again. So my only hope at that point was to take it up, as we say in the law, or take it up to the District Court of Appeals, to the DCA, we like to say. So my only hope was, would someone listen? Would someone hear us? Would someone take a close look at this, because that's what it was going to take? So for the next year and a half, I exhaustively, with the help of a friend and another colleague, exhaustively researched all of the legal issues in the case. And we have exhaustively not only researched it, we wrote briefs. And we filed opening briefs, and the other side, the defense lawyers, filed opposition briefs, and we filed counter briefs, and so on and so forth. And then the day came to argue the case before the Court of Appeals. I remember like it was yesterday, but it was really several years ago. I remember walking into court that day, and the Court of Appeals in California, in Pasadena, is a beautiful and majestic place. And there's 3 justices, and they sit high above you. And it's a gorgeous facility, and it's quiet and serene and very solemn. And everyone took their place in the courtroom. There was probably 50 people in the galleys watching, including interested parties, other attorneys, and even people from the Screen Actors Guild who were very interested in the outcome of the case and supported us along the way. Well, anyway, they called our case, and I went first because we had to prove why we were entitled to win the case, reverse the trial judge's ruling, so to speak. So what I did was I took an approach that was probably a bit different than most attorneys take when they go to the Court of Appeals. I carried with me a stack of documents over a foot high, certainly, maybe a foot and a half, if not 2 feet high. And I put them up on the podium, and I placed my hand on the podium. And it was, of course, very quiet. And I put my hand on the stack of documents, and I said, "May it please the court, good morning, justices of the Appellate Court. My name is Robert Pafundi. I stand before you today with a case that has impact in the entertainment industry. And as you can see, alongside me is a stack of documentation. And we could spend the little time we have together going over all of the documents and the rules of law and discussing and arguing all of the points. But the truth is, I know and you know, you've read it all, you've seen it all. You've talked about it among yourselves. So I don't think any of that's necessary. And I ask you to consider this. I ask you to consider that although there seems to be many, many issues and sub-issues and many points of law to discuss, the truth is there's really only one issue. When you decide the one issue, you'll know how to decide the case. So it became very quiet. In fact, you could hear a pin drop. And the justices leaned forward a little bit, almost like, you have the nerve to say this case has one issue? What is this issue, counsel? I continued. I broke my silence. I broke the silence in the courtroom. And I said, the issue is very simple. Your Honors, the arbitrator did not protect the child. The trial judge did not protect the child. And the question remains, and the only question to be answered is, will you? The question is, who will protect our children? And when you decide the answer to that question, the rest of the case will tumble into place, and you'll know how to decide this case. Well, silence filled the courtroom. And then I broke my own silence and I said, and with that, Your Honors, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Well, when the hearing was over, we waited. We waited a few weeks. And the appellate justices, they heard us. They listened, and they proved it in a unanimous 3-0 decision. And they reversed the judgment against Craig Traylor in that case. And it was a very exciting time for minors in the entertainment business, and a very educational time for talent managers, talent agents, production companies, children and parents everywhere. And I'm very, very proud to have met the Traylor family, very proud to have been part of this appellate litigation and this precedent-setting case. And it inspired me to write the book, Safe Stardom, so you could be better informed, so you would know more than people knew before that time. And that's really why I wrote the book.